Later, for now we go to Celia Yeo. Celia, sorry. Dah dua dah. Mana? Celia, you spent nearly 4 decades in education and have lived between Australia and Malaysia. How has this bicultural life shaped your own sense of identity as a Peranakan woman? And how do you see tradition adapting in global context? Please, Celia.
Thank you. Thanks, Nyonya. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm very honored to be here today amongst these beautiful people here, sharing our experiences in our lives as a Peranakan woman, I guess as a Nyonya. I would like to address firstly the question that has been brought to us by Nyonya. In terms of being in the education industry for almost 4 decades now, that shows my age, right? So I'll just tell you, I'm 62 years old this year. Yeah, already a senior citizen. I came on the LRT, $1.50 only. And that's all part of being Nyonya, you know. We are all, very calculative in terms of what we spend, how much we spend, and all sorts of things. So as soon as I turned 60, I went to get my card. And even though I don't use it all the time, when I do use it, I get my senior citizen discounts. So yes, I spent close to 4 decades in education, and much of my life has been a dance between Australia and Malaysia. Two very different but very enriching environments in their own rights, yeah. And this bicultural journey has definitely shaped my identity, not just as an educator, but more deeply as a Peranakan person or woman. And living between these two worlds has made me more conscious of the richness and uniqueness of our heritage. To be really honest, as a young girl, I didn't see or feel myself as a Peranakan person. It was only after I came back from overseas studying in Australia, and I came back where my Peranakanness, I guess, took over, and I became a lot more interested, and I was looking at things in a different way and trying to find out more about why am I doing this, why did my mother tell me to do this, and so on and so forth, yeah. So when I'm in Australia, I often find myself being a cultural ambassador. I have told so many Australians that Nyonya is not a noodle. Yeah, a kabaya is not a new airline. Okay, it's not a new airline. All right, it's everything mashed in between, you know, your money and your threads and your sewing and all the different cultures that you can see. Many Australians now are much more in the know about Peranakans. Yeah, I think you guys have a lot of friends overseas as well who understand where Peranakan comes from or what they are. In fact, I was recently in Melbourne, and one of my friends, Australian friends, who lived in Malaysia for a number of years, I went to Melbourne, he was living there, and he invited me over for dinner. Guess what I had? Guess what I had for dinner? Nasi. So I had nasi kum. And nasi kemuli. Okay, some of you will know nasi kemuli as being the type of rice that's cooked, and in particular for weddings and birthdays, yeah, celebrations of sorts. And he cooked it and it was really good. And where did he learn that? He learned that in Malaysia. He went to one of the cooking events, Babas Can Cook, that was organized by PPP and KLS at the time. And he got that recipe and he cooked it for me when I was in Melbourne. So I was really proud at the time that he actually cooked me a proper, Peranakan dish, even though it was not a wedding or a birthday. It's okay, yeah. It was pretty good too. So and when I returned to Malaysia, I see our tradition with fresh eyes, yeah, with fresh eyes. I appreciate the beauty of our rituals, the food, and also our budi bahasa. Okay, how we react, how we respect our elders. But I also realize some things need to evolve. We can't expect the next generation to grind rempah every weekend just to cook. I don't think any of even my generation, Melissa and I, right? Melissa's a lot younger than me, by the way. We don't grind our rempahs every weekend, okay? Maybe until you came for dinner one day, I will actually cook the rempah for you, okay? But I don't do it on a normal basis, okay? So we try to evolve, but we want to try and show the younger generation why we might be doing that, why we used to do that, and how, what it's like, you know. So I'll give you an example. Every year, my mother's birthday, we have a Nyonya party. Some of you have been, okay? Now, every year, because we cook for the masses, 30 kgs of mangkok, alright? So we used to use the mandolin to shred the mangkok. Last year, I don't know why, for some reason, I made everyone hand cut the mangkok. My sisters, my nieces, they hand cut 30 kgs of mangkok, okay? Now, at the end of that, they all said, never again. Because their hands were all bruised, they were all painful, you know, etc. But what did they say to me at the end of that? It tastes better, and actually it lasted longer as well. Yeah. So now they know what it's like doing it the traditional way or the old way, let's say. Okay? But they will still go back to the mandolin after this. They will never haircut again after last year, okay? So that's one of the things that we try to do. It will evolve. What we do will evolve. But we just need to make sure that they also know why and how it was done previously. Okay, so that's just one of the ideas, yeah? So what this life has actually taught me is that tradition doesn't have to be static. It doesn't have to be static. It's not a museum piece. It lives in us, and like us, it can adapt, travel, and grow. Okay? And I've seen younger Peranakans embracing their identity in new ways, both in through fashion. You've seen people wearing the kebaya in different ways as well, through music, through food fusion, and even digital storytelling. And I'm sure Melissa can tell you a little bit more about that, you know, the digital storytelling later on. And I think that's wonderful that we can honor our roots without being rooted to the past. Okay, so it's not really a culture that is dying, it is there, and we live with it. Okay, and we evolve. Okay? What else have I got for you? I think, personally, being a Peranakan, it's a global context. In a global context means carrying my mother's and sometimes my grandmother's voice in my head when I walk into an international boardroom or a meeting, for example. It means bringing semangat gotong royong. Okay, and to how I build partnerships in my work as well. All right, it means being firm, but always with budi bahasa. And it means that wherever I am, whether in Melbourne or Brisbane or KL or anywhere else, I carry my heritage proudly, not just in what I wear or say, but in how I live and learn and lead. So I will use the word Peranakanness, yeah. I don't think it's a word, but I'll use it anyway. So my Peranakanness is not just at home, not just with the family, but it's also brought into my workplace as well. I mean, people don't know that, but that's just how I work. And I can see that now in me. If you ask me this maybe 20, 30 years ago, I would not have been able to tell you that. Yeah. So like I said, my global experience has actually enhanced my understanding of this culture. And I'll leave it at that and let Melissa carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, Celia, for sharing the wonderful Nyonya beyond Malaysia. We'll come back to that again.